Good afternoon, happy Savage Saturday, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here. And today, guys, we are here with Savage Saturday Comic Review, episode 101. And we are going to review a short backup feature story in the Savage Sword of Conan mag featuring Kull the Conqueror, one of my favorite Robert E. Howard characters. Now, it is an absolute shame that he didn't have his own black and white magazine that ran as long as Conan. He did have Kull and the Barbarians, which ran for 3 issues, and he was in a Marvel preview for 1 issue, but he didn't have the attraction, I guess, of a Conan the Barbarian, which I will never understand because he is a fantastic character. Much more of a hothead than Conan the Barbarian. Kull does not keep his temper in check at all, and although he is a good thinker, he's not as plotted out as Conan when Conan's trying to plan something. Kull is a much more reactionary character, and he is quick to arms, where Conan will brood on something and come up with a plan and at least try to execute it in a smarter fashion, where Kull is quick to anger, brings his brawl and his brute strength up front, and tries to deal with most of the problems that way, but has to rely oftentimes on the people around him, much to his chagrin. But without further ado, the story we're talking about takes place in the Savage Sword of Conan, issue 134. Great Joe Jusko cover there. And you guys already know I'm a sucker for covers with a lot of blue in them. They look great. It really puts the 2 main characters forward there. And we are going to go to the back of this issue where our story starts. And this one is called Kull the Conqueror, Keeper of Laws. And we are going to keep putting pages up over here as we go through this. So as our tale begins, it says, and we'll read the little synopsis, the little preface here. The long march from Comorian frontier was at last at an end. Kull returned to the City of Wonders at the head of an army pushed beyond the limits of endurance. And Kull and his exhausted army are returning home, but what they behold is a sight of horror. Outside King Kull's kingdom are a bunch of people spiked and just impaled along in a big line on the outskirts of Volusia. So this is just something that's horrific to Kull. And as he's approached, he says, so there's been an attempt at social reform in my absence. And he's talking to his leader of the Red Slayers, who are his personal guard. And he's asking Kull if he should give the order for the men to order the order to enter the city. And Kull's saying only the Red Slayers, no sense in alarming the nobles, had the Legion camp outside of the walls for now. And our story begins. Now, as it's beginning, let's just say, written by Charles Dixon, art by Pablo Marcos, and letters by Jim Novak. All right, so Pablo Marcos is a legend, so you already know the art is great. So we had our first introduction, and we'll show you that page right there of them just approaching home and seeing everything just a mockery of what it was when he left, of this nice orderly rule, which is now looks like it's descended into a bit of chaos and savagery. When they enter, we're being told it has been many months that the Crystal City has done without her king. He has been away at wars, and whether the mob loves or hates their liege, it matters little. His return is a rare cause to celebrate. And he has 2 meeting him, which is his advisor, saying, welcome home, King Kull. And Kull's like, I suppose you have handled things well in my absence too? And 2 says, I've done my best, although there's been many pressing matters. And he has another royal approach him that says, I demanded that to increase the head tax. We need revenues to buy winter grain, lest the poor go hungry. What say you, Kull? And this is a rather rotund noble. And Kull says, I have a better idea, Charles. You look well enough fed. Arrange with 2 to have half your personal food who are distributed among the poor, which quickly silences this noble, and he thus leaves Kull alone. All right, so speaking up didn't do him any good. Now, Kull is still searching for the reason that he has come home to see his city in disarray and savagery. All right, and we'll keep putting stuff over here for you. Now, upon getting further in, he is greeted by Ota Karasta. He is the appointed keeper of laws while he was away, and he says he has been valiantly defending Volusia's borders. And Kull recognizes him. He says, "You're the high priest of Rahl. Much has gone on when my back was turned." And Karasta says, "The city wallowed in sin and corruption without you, and on the Topaz throne, a council of noblemen granted me the power of lawkeeper to maintain order in your stead." And Kull asks him, whose law do you keep? And this guy, being the leader of a cult, says, "The ancient and sacred book of Rahl. Under these codes, the wicked are punished and the guilty scourged." And Kull asks him if impalement is part of the justice of Rahl. And the priest defends it, saying, Rahl says that trespassers must pay in kind. I felt impalement a fitting payment, and it has spectacularly reduced lawlessness. Fear of death will do that to somebody, right? And Kull's like, as well as our population. It's just been a brutal handling of the laws. And Kull dismisses him with one sentence. He says, "Well, I've returned, and the only law in Volusia is mine." And the guy just gets this weird look on his face, and then Kull says, "We'll have no more need for you as lawkeeper." And 2 says, "Karasta is a dangerous man, and the cult of Rahl grows larger each day. You dismiss so easily at great peril, Kull." And Kull is like, "Thank you, 2. I appreciate your advisement." He goes, "But all I care for now is to retire to my royal bedchamber and rest." And 2 wishes him good sleep, but Kull says, "It's not sleep I crave just yet," and he has a woman waiting there for him. And they fall asleep. And as they're sleeping, we see creeping hands above the bed in an opening, and a bunch of hooded eyes viewing Kull with menace. Now, one of the guys that's sitting above is utterly scratching, and some of the wood above waiting to attack, and some of that dust settles down onto the woman's nose that Kull's sleeping with, and she wakes up with a sudden sneeze, alerting Kull. He's got his famous expletives ready. "Valka!" he screams as he gets out of bed. Throws a blanket on one guy's face, and Kull is among them and fighting, slitting throats and slaying. And the battle rages on. Kull is taking them out 1, 2 at a time. Still in the buff. He hasn't even had time to put on his royal loincloth. What is happening with the world? And so the fighting keeps going. Then the last 2 panels, we see a knife drawn on Kull, and we see the woman's face gasping. It was a quick, savage battle, and we're left in suspense until the next page. And on the next page, we see Karasta in his chamber, and there's thump thump at his door. He's like, "Be patient, I am coming." And when he opens it, his hooded assailants are there. He says, "What? I told you not to come here. What if you were seen, you fools?" And the one hooded person says, "I bring you good word, Ota Karasta." Now, already, as a reader, you're getting a clue as to who this is, because behind the hooded eye, you see the scar running down, and you know it's Kull in disguise. And Karasta says, "So you've slain Kull and cleared the way for me to rule as lawkeeper?" And the hooded figure says, "No, Kull yet lives. My word is of another nature." And Kull reveals himself, says, "I have decided to mete out justice as your prophet sees fit. You shall pay for your crimes in the manner of Rahl." And our panel ends, and our story ends with him impaled like he impaled everybody else, with the brutal justice that he was handing out being given to him. So he got what he deserved in the end, And you have 2 and Rule the Spear Slayer advising Kull to be wary that the cult of Ra is not yet over. But Kull has little to fear after slaying their leader. And thus ends a quick, savage tale of King Kull, giving out a justice that he thought was unjust to the guy that was giving it out to others and giving him a taste of his own medicine, a final deadly taste. So a fun little story, a quick, fun, brutal read, and that's it for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code KEEPITCASUAL for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.